Imagine this. You're living your life, minding your own path. You're not chasing love, not seeking validation, not even craving attention. But then he appears. He's charming. He listens. He lingers. There's a pull in his energy, a spark in his gaze. But there's a complication he's already taken. A wife, a girlfriend, maybe even children. So what does it really mean when a man who is already committed seems to want you? Let's go deeper, beyond judgment into truth. Because Carl Jung would tell us, this isn't truly about love. It's not even about you. It's about him, and what's unresolved inside his unconscious. When a man in a relationship reaches for another woman, it's not always lust. It's not usually about your looks or your personality. It's about something lost, something buried inside him that he's hoping you'll help him find. Carl Jung called this a pursuit of the anima, the unconscious, feminine energy within every man. He doesn't just want you. He wants the feeling he imagines you'll awaken in him. A sense of aliveness, mystery, a spark of vitality he once had, or maybe never did. And so, he projects that desire onto you, not because of who you are, but because of what you symbolize in his psyche. It's like holding up a glass to his own inner emptiness and believing your presence will pour something into it. But here's the truth. You were never meant to carry that burden. And yet many women still ask, did I encourage this? Was I too open? Is there something wrong with me for responding? Let's be clear, you are not the problem. But your energy might be magnetic, and if it wakes something in him, that speaks more to his absence than to your presence. Because a man who is whole, a man who is aligned with himself and honors his commitments, he will absolutely feel attraction. But he will also contain it. He will not act on it. He will respect it, and you, the fact that he pursued you doesn't mean you're special, and it definitely doesn't mean you're not. It means he is split inside. And Carl Jung warned us about the danger of that split. The man who smiles in daylight, but is governed by shadow at night, who says all the right things while hiding all the wrong wounds. If you've ever been caught in this emotional triangle, or stood near the edge of one, you know how confusing it can be. You tell yourself, if he's risking this, he must feel something real. He must be miserable in his relationship. He sees something in me no one else does. But those thoughts, they are not truth. They are survival. Stories your heart tells to soothe the pain of being pulled into something unsteady. Because the harder truth is this: a man can crave deep connection and still be shallow. He can chase depth while refusing to do the inner work. He can reach for your light while still living in rooms full of locked doors. Jung taught that the unconscious always seeks balance. So if a man feels numb, hollow, lifeless, his psyche will search for the opposite. But if he hasn't faced his own wounds, he won't see you. He'll only see what he needs you to be. So what does he actually want from you? Not your heart. He wants your energy, your softness, your admiration, your ability to make him feel alive. He wants to feel chosen again, without fixing what went wrong in his current life. He wants your warmth, but not your boundaries. Your reflection of his best self, but not the mirror you'll eventually become. Because the deeper the connection goes, the more he has to face who he really is, and the more uncomfortable it becomes. Unless he's done his work, he won't stay. He can't. Not without destroying something, you or himself. And you were never born to be someone's emotional rehabilitation center. So when he says, I've never felt this before, or she doesn't understand me like you do, these may not be outright lies, but they're not full truths either. They are projections, fragments of a man running from his own emotional responsibility. Because what happens when the high fades? When you ask, where is this going? What am I to you? That's when distance grows. That's when the story breaks apart. Because for him, this was never about building. It was about escaping. And Jung reminds us, anything born in the shadow must come to light, or it will destroy both the seeker and the source. So no, it's not your fault. But yes, you have a choice. You can pause, you can step back, and ask, what made me say yes to something I knew wasn't aligned? Because as much as he is projecting onto you, you may also be projecting onto him. Maybe it wasn't the man you wanted. Maybe it was the feeling, the reflection, the validation, the thrill of being seen, of mattering, of finally feeling chosen. But let me say this clearly. You don't need someone else's chaos to prove your value. You don't need secret glances and hidden texts to feel worthy. You don't need to live in someone else's shadow to shine. You are not a pause. You are not a detour. You are not a thrilling moment in someone else's confusion. You are a mirror, a soul, a woman. And while your presence may awaken something in another, You are not responsible for what they do with that awakening. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Let him face his fate. Let him confront his shadows. And you rise. Now, if any part of this resonates, maybe it's time to look at the hidden patterns. Why you keep saying yes. Why your heart still lingers in unfinished places. Why you mistake chaos for chemistry. This is where the Jung Method can help. It's a guided journey inward, a map for your emotional truth, your wounds and your healing. The link is in the first comment if you're ready. But for now, let's return to the truth waiting beneath the surface. Yes, he wanted you, but you allowed. You opened. You lingered, even if just in your mind. That's not failure. That's not weakness. That's hunger. Hunger for depth, for attention, for love. But if it came from the wrong place, it's not because you're broken. It's because part of your own shadow was trying to speak. Maybe you've spent your whole life being good, quiet, available, invisible. And then someone sees you, desires you, and suddenly you feel real. But being seen by someone unavailable isn't real visibility. It's emotional bait. And if you've been starving long enough, even crumbs can feel like a feast. Ask yourself, what was I hoping to feel? Not what he'd say or do, but how you wanted to feel. Safe, wanted, enough. That's the root. That's the thread leading back to the wound. And until that part of you is held and healed, you'll keep repeating the same story in a different disguise. Jung said, we are drawn to others not just out of desire, but because they reflect a part of us we have not made peace with. So when you find yourself pulled toward the unavailable, ask, what part of me is still unavailable to my truth? Is it your power, your anger, your right to be chosen fully? Sometimes being the other woman isn't about seduction. It's about self-abandonment wearing a mask of connection. Because let's be real, it's not just the man who's conflicted. You might be too. A part of you knows this is risky, that it won't end well, that it will hurt, but you stay. Why? Because pain is familiar. Because you've mistaken adrenaline for affection. Because a deep fear whispers, no one free will ever choose me. Let that land, not in shame, but in compassion. That's where healing begins. Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their souls. And sometimes we use people to distract us from our own emptiness. But here's the good news. Awareness changes everything. The moment you name the pattern, you start to break it. The moment you see the wound, you can begin to heal it. You don't have to keep betraying yourself, just to feel desired by someone who can't give. So what now? Get practical. Write it out. Not the fantasy. The truth. What actually happened. No filters. Then read it aloud. Let the truth cleanse you. Next, name the need behind the attraction. Was it protection? Validation? Passion? Now, how can you give that to yourself? The more you meet your own needs, the less attraction you'll feel to unavailable energy. Close the loop. If you still feel tied to him, even without contact, write a letter. Say everything, then burn it. You're not breaking a bond. You're reclaiming your power. Choose someone who chooses you. Fully, openly, in daylight. You are not here to be hidden. Not here to be a secret. Not here to be a temporary escape. You are not too much. You are not a mistake. You are awakening. And now you have a choice. Repeat what wounds you, or choose what restores you. Let truth lead you home.